But have you ever woken up feeling unusually tired, as if your body just won't cooperate no matter how much rest you get? But maybe your legs feel weaker than before, or you find yourself forgetting simple things more often, little signs that many of us just brush off as getting old. But what if I told you that these common struggles aren't just the natural order of aging? What if there's more behind the scenes, something that most people don't realize? But it's easy to think that slowing down or feeling forgetful is simply part of growing older. But science shows that sometimes these issues are signals your body sends for help. The signs we tend to overlook until they become bigger problems. But in this video, we're going to explore 7 surprising habits that people over 70 often do without realizing how much they may be holding themselves back. But by the end, I'll share the most important habit you can stop today to feel stronger, sharper, and more in control of your health. So, if you've ever felt that quiet frustration or worry about your body or mind slipping away, stay with me. But we're in this together, and there's hope ahead. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. But if you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. But now, let's begin with the first habit: ignoring fatigue and saying it's just age. Have you ever caught yourself brushing off that morning tiredness, chalking it up to just getting older? But maybe you rise from bed and already feel as if you've run a marathon in your sleep. Your muscles age, your steps are slow, and your mind feels foggy. But it's so easy, isn't it, to believe that fatigue is just part of the deal as we add more candles to our birthday cake. For so many people over 70, this quiet exhaustion becomes a daily companion. We smile through it, telling ourselves and others that it's normal for someone our age to feel this way. But behind every gentle wave of tiredness is a question we often leave unasked. What if this isn't just age? What if your body is trying to tell you something? That's the moment where curiosity can change everything. But we've all heard the old sayings, "You're not as young as you used to be," or "It's normal to slow down." But sometimes these beliefs can get in the way of a fuller, healthier life. What if the fatigue isn't simply an unavoidable consequence of time, but a message from your body, a quiet call for help? But imagine for a moment that tiredness isn't just your age showing, but a red flag waving for attention. Are we meant to feel drained every single day? Or is there something else beneath the surface? But let's look a little closer at what could be happening. But science now shows us that chronic fatigue in older adults often isn't only about age at all. There are many everyday things, big and small, that quietly chip away at our energy. But dehydration is one of the sneakiest culprits. As we age, our sense of thirst fades, and it's common to go hours without a glass of water. But yet even mild dehydration can cause fatigue, headaches, and confusion. Nutrition matters just as much. But if breakfast is just a cup of coffee and a slice of toast, your body isn't getting the fuel it needs to run strong all day. But vitamin deficiencies, especially B12, vitamin D, and iron, can leave you feeling like you're walking through quicksand, not just for days, but for months. Let's not forget sleep. But many seniors struggle with falling or staying asleep. But did you know that poor sleep quality, even if you're in bed for 8 hours, can rob you of the deep, restorative rest your body craves? But medical conditions, too often go undetected. Low thyroid function, diabetes, or heart problems all commonly show up as persistent tiredness long before other symptoms appear. But here's the good news: none of this is set in stone. Feeling tired doesn't have to be the price you pay for getting older. But sometimes just asking the right questions is the first step toward real change. When did this fatigue start? Has it gotten worse? Does it get better on some days? But by tuning into your body signals, you become your own best advocate. Start with the basics each morning. Pour yourself a full glass of water and make it a habit. But try adding a source of protein to your breakfast, maybe an egg, a small serving of Greek yogurt, or a scoop of nut butter. You'd be amazed at how steady your blood sugar can lift your energy for hours. But schedule a visit with your doctor and share honestly how you've been feeling. Don't just accept a quick, it's your age answer. Ask about a blood test to check your thyroid, iron, and vitamin levels. Keep a simple fatigue journal. Note when you feel best and when you feel most drained. Sometimes these patterns reveal things we'd otherwise miss. Even gentle movement can make a world of difference. But if you haven't exercised in a while, start small, a 5-minute walk after breakfast and a few gentle stretches while you wait for your coffee to brew. But movement helps boost circulation, wakes up stiff joints, and encourages deeper sleep at night. You don't have to train for a marathon. Just keep moving in ways that feel comfortable and joyful to you. But I want to share with you the story of Harold, a retired postman from Ohio, who emailed me not long ago. Harold, now 74, wrote that for almost a year, he woke up tired and achy every single morning. He assumed, like so many of us, that he was just getting old. It wasn't until his granddaughter visited and noticed how much time he spent dozing off in his chair that he decided to mention it to his doctor. But it turned out Harold's thyroid was underactive, and his vitamin D levels were very low. With a simple change in medication and a daily morning walk, Harold started feeling better within weeks. But he told me, "I got my mornings back. I thought I was too old to feel energetic. But I was wrong. I just needed to listen to my body and ask for help." So, if you find yourself waking up tired, don't settle for the easy answer. But you've spent your life looking out for others, building careers, raising families, and supporting your friends and communities. You deserve to feel strong, clear-headed, and capable. But no matter how many years you've celebrated, sometimes all it takes is one question, one habit, or one conversation to turn everything around. But you are not just old, you are alive, full of history and hope. And your body is still speaking to you every day. But when you notice fatigue, let it be an invitation to care for yourself with the same attention and kindness you've always given to others. But take a sip of water, call your doctor, add something nourishing to your breakfast, and step outside for a breath of fresh air and a few gentle stretches. You might be surprised at how much energy returns when you start believing you deserve it. But remember, age is not the enemy. Neglect is. Listen to what your body is whispering. Make a small change today and give yourself the gift of energy and joy every single morning. You are never too old to feel better, stronger, and more alive. The second habit is isolating yourself socially. But have you ever found yourself sitting in a quiet room, hearing the hum of the refrigerator or the distant traffic outside, and realizing that days have passed since you last had a real conversation with someone? But maybe you used to be the first to pick up the phone or reach out to neighbors. But lately you find yourself hesitating. But perhaps it's easier now to stay home than to go to that community center, church meeting, or book club you once enjoyed. Sometimes after a certain age, it feels like the world has quietly moved on without you, leaving you on the sidelines to watch. But you might tell yourself that this is just how things are supposed to be. When you get older, people are busy. My friends have their own families, and I don't want to be a bother. But maybe you even believe that wanting connection is something for the young, that with age comes a certain loneliness, and it's best to accept it with grace. But what if that's not the whole story? What if isolation isn't an inevitable part of aging, but a habit, one that can be changed just like any other? But it's a common myth that growing older naturally means shrinking your social circle, pulling back from the community, or spending more time alone. But however, science has shown that isolation can be just as harmful to your health as smoking or obesity. Loneliness doesn't just weigh on your heart emotionally. It has very real physical effects. But research from leading universities has linked social isolation in older adults to higher rates of heart disease, weakened immune response, depression, anxiety, and even a greater risk of dementia. But the heart, it turns out, is not only a muscle for pumping blood, but a muscle that thrives on human connection. As humans, we are wired for relationships at every age. But when you regularly connect with others, whether that's a neighbor, an old friend, a family member, or even a friendly cashier at the grocery store, your brain releases chemicals that help lower stress, improve your mood, and boost your overall well-being. But it's not about having dozens of close friends or filling your calendar with events. Sometimes all it takes is a single heartfelt conversation to make you feel seen and valued again. But so, what can you do when loneliness creeps in and the walls start to feel a little too close? But it doesn't have to mean signing up for every club in town or pushing yourself to be social when you don't feel up to it. Sometimes the smallest steps are the most powerful. Start by reaching out to one person, a neighbor, a sibling, an old friend. Send a text, write a short note, or make a quick phone call, even just to say, "I was thinking about you." But you'd be surprised at how often the other person is grateful to hear from you. But another gentle way to rebuild your social world is to join a community group or attend an event, even if only for a little while. Many senior centers, libraries, and local churches offer book clubs, exercise classes, or coffee mornings that are welcoming and low pressure. If you're nervous, try attending with a friend or asking someone to meet you there. Even showing up for 15 minutes counts. If you have a special interest, gardening, quilting, history, or music, look for groups or online communities that share your passion. But sometimes the connection can happen right from the comfort of your living room. But let me tell you about Helen, an 81-year-old grandmother from Minnesota. But after her husband passed away, she slowly withdrew from the world, telling herself that her family was too busy, and she didn't want to impose. But she spent more and more time at home, filling her days with television and quiet chores. But inside, she felt emptier with each passing week. But one day, her grandson encouraged her to join a local walking group for seniors at the park. At first, Helen resisted, saying, "I'm too old to make new friends." But after a little gentle persuasion, she decided to give it a try. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment one below to let me know that you are still here with me. But the first walk was awkward, and Helen hardly spoke to anyone. But she noticed the smiles, the laughter, and the gentle encouragement from others her age. But by the third week, she found herself looking forward to the walks, sharing stories about her garden and childhood. But that one small step turned into weekly outings, invitations to coffee, and even a renewed sense of purpose. But Helen's mood improved, her energy grew, and for the first time in a long while, she felt deeply alive. It's never too late, she said. Sometimes all you need is a nudge. But if you find yourself retreating more and more, remember that you're not alone, and you don't have to stay that way. But the urge to connect doesn't fade with age. It might even grow stronger. The world needs your stories, your wisdom, and your laughter. But it's easy to convince yourself that no one wants to hear from you. But the truth is, your presence matters more than you know. But so the next time you feel that wave of loneliness, consider it an invitation, a gentle knock from your own heart. But reach out, try something new, step outside, even just onto your porch or to your mailbox, and smile at a neighbor, join a club, attend a local event, or simply call someone you care about. But every small connection is a victory against isolation. But you have spent a lifetime building relationships, nurturing others, and contributing to your community. Now you deserve to feel the warmth and belonging you've given so freely to others. But you are never too old to make a new friend, start a new conversation, or be part of something bigger than yourself. Connection is not a luxury, it's a necessity, a lifeline that brings meaning, comfort, and joy. No matter how many years you've celebrated, let yourself reach out, but the world is waiting to welcome you back. But the third habit is skipping strength exercises. It's a scene that plays out quietly in countless American homes. But you stand at the kitchen counter, hands wrapped around a mug of morning coffee, watching the sun climb over your neighborhood. But you've just finished a leisurely walk around the block. Or maybe you're planning to water your plants or tidy up the living room. You move carefully, maybe a little slower than you used to. And deep down, you're grateful for each step you can still take. But for many people over 70, walking is a daily ritual, a comfort, and a source of pride. But it's easy to feel that as long as you're staying active, getting out for a stroll, running errands, or puttering in the garden, you're doing enough for your health. But here's a gentle question to consider. Is walking alone really enough to keep your body strong, or is there something important missing from the routine? Most of us have grown up with a belief that simply staying active will preserve our health as we age. But we see stories about the benefits of walking and hear our doctors urge us to keep moving. But there's a crucial piece that often gets overlooked: the power of strength exercises, especially for seniors. But it's not your fault. No one likes to picture themselves lifting weights at 75, and for many, the gym is an intimidating place. But there's a stubborn myth that strength training is for athletes or bodybuilders, not for ordinary folks who just want to stay independent. But here's what science tells us. As we grow older, our muscles naturally shrink and lose their power if we don't actively use them. But this silent process called sarcopenia starts as early as our 40s, accelerates after 65. It's the reason why everyday tasks, getting up from a chair, climbing stairs, carrying groceries, can suddenly feel daunting. But the risk of falls rises, and with it, the risk of losing the independence that means so much. But you might be surprised to learn that according to the CDC, seniors who skip strength exercises are more likely to experience serious falls, frailty, and even a loss of mental sharpness. But our muscles do more than just move us around. They support our joints, protect our bones, and even help regulate our metabolism and blood sugar. But strength training, even in the simplest forms, can mean the difference between living with confidence or being held back by fear of injury. But the good news is you don't need fancy equipment or hours at the gym to build and preserve muscle strength. Gentle, regular exercises done at home are enough to change your life. But start with the basics, using your body weight. Try standing up from a chair without using your hands, or do a few slow squats by holding onto the back of the couch for support. If you have a set of light hand weights or even a couple of soup cans, you can try simple arm curls or presses. Resistance bands, which are soft and stretchy, are another wonderful joint-friendly option for adding challenge without risk. But make it a habit to do just 5 to 10 minutes of these movements 2 or 3 times a week. But you'll be surprised at how quickly your strength returns and how much easier it feels to get up from the couch, reach for something high on a shelf, or carry your shopping bags. Don't worry about how much you can lift. What matters most is showing up for yourself and building a little bit of strength with every session. Remember, it's never too late to start. But let me share the story of Mr. Leonard, a retired teacher from Pennsylvania. At 79, Leonard prided himself on his daily walks and gardening. But one spring morning, he found himself struggling to carry a bag of soil to the flower bed. He brushed it off, telling himself, "I'm just getting older." But a week later, Leonard slipped while getting out of the bathtub. But, thankfully, he wasn't seriously hurt, but the scare stayed with him. On his daughter's suggestion, Leonard joined a local silver strength class at the community center. At first, he was embarrassed, but he worried people would judge him or that he'd feel out of place. But what he discovered was a room full of neighbors his age, laughing and cheering each other on as they lifted light weights and used resistance bands. But after just a few weeks, Leonard noticed that it was easier to get up from his favorite chair. He could open stubborn jars again and felt steadier walking up and down his porch steps. But the highlight came when he realized he could lift his little granddaughter with ease, something he hadn't been able to do in years. But Leonard's story isn't unique. It's a testament to the body's ability to grow stronger. No matter the age, if you're feeling nervous about starting, know that you're not alone. Everyone starts somewhere, and the first step can be as simple as standing up from your chair 5 times in a row, or lifting a can of beans while you watch TV. but write your progress on a calendar and celebrate the small wins, an extra repetition, a steadier gait, a newfound energy when you get out of bed in the morning. But there are countless online videos, community center classes, and printable guides created just for seniors that offer step-by-step instruction, but often requiring nothing more than a chair and a willingness to try. You deserve to feel strong and secure in your own body to keep doing the things you love for as long as possible. Strength training isn't about lifting heavy weights or changing your body overnight. It's about reclaiming your independence, protecting your health, and living each day with confidence. Picture yourself months from now walking briskly to greet a neighbor, lifting your grandchild, tending to your garden, or dancing at a family gathering, not held back by weakness or fear, but empowered by your effort. But so, if you've been skipping strength exercises because you thought they weren't necessary, or you felt unsure where to start, consider this your gentle invitation. But your body is capable of more than you imagine, and you are never too old to grow stronger. But start small, start today. The strength you build now is a gift to your future self, a promise that you'll keep moving, keep living, and keep thriving year after year. But the fourth habit is avoiding talking about finances or legal matters. There are conversations we all tend to put off, quietly tucking them away in a drawer, just like those important documents we always mean to organize but never quite do. Maybe it's the paperwork, wills, powers of attorney, savings accounts, or insurance policies that sits in a folder somewhere gathering dust. Or maybe it's the gentle reminders from your adult children or a trusted friend. But Mom, have you thought about updating your will? Dad, is there someone who knows where you keep your important papers? Each time it's easier to say, I'll get to it later, or that's too heavy for now. And for many, there's a deeper reason, a quiet discomfort, even a bit of fear about what these conversations mean. But it's easy to believe that avoiding financial or legal talks is just part of protecting your peace of mind. Maybe you worry that bringing up these topics will make your loved ones anxious, or you fear it's a tempting fate. Why talk about money or death? I'm still here. Sometimes it's about pride, but after a lifetime of handling things yourself, the idea of sharing your finances or making a legal plan feels like giving up control. But what if this avoidance isn't shielding your family from stress, but quietly building a wall between you and the peace you deserve? But the truth is, most Americans, regardless of age, feel some anxiety around money and of life wishes and legal paperwork. It's a subject that carries emotional weight, family history, and sometimes even a little shame about what's been saved or left undone. But here's what science and experience tell us: open, honest conversations about finances and legal wishes are not just practical, they're a powerful act of love, but an investment in your dignity and your family's well-being for years to come. But it's easy to overlook the impact of not talking about these things. When financial accounts are left a mystery or legal wishes are unspoken, families can face uncertainty, disagreements, even heartbreak in moments that should be about care and comfort. But according to the National Institute on Aging, families who talk openly about money and legal planning experience less conflict and more clarity when the unexpected happens. But legal documents like wills, advance directives, and powers of attorney are not just paperwork, they are tools that protect your voice and your values, even when you cannot speak for yourself. But so, how can you start this process without feeling overwhelmed? The first step is the simplest: bring your wishes out into the open. But if you've never talked to your children or a trusted friend about your finances, let them know that you'd like to share some information, not because you're giving up, but because you want to make sure your intentions are honored. But you don't need to have every answer, and you don't have to share every detail, but even the basics: where important documents are kept, who to contact if you can't make decisions for yourself, whether how you'd like certain matters handled make a world of difference. Start by making a simple list. Where are your bank accounts? Who is your attorney if you have one? Do you have a will? And where is it stored? Have you named a healthcare proxy or someone to make decisions if you're unable to? This can be a handwritten note, a file on your computer, or a conversation at the kitchen table. Don't be afraid to revisit and update this list from time to time, especially after a major life change. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. If you feel nervous about bringing up these topics, know that you are not alone. But many people, including your loved ones, may feel relieved and grateful when you break the silence. Consider setting a time with family members that feels comfortable, maybe over coffee, after a holiday meal, or during a quiet afternoon at home. Let them know that you've been thinking about what matters most to you, and that you'd like to make sure everyone is prepared, no matter what the future holds. I want to tell you about Sam and Dolores, a couple from Indiana, married for more than 50 years for most of their lives. Sam handled the bills and the insurance while Dolores took care of the home. But after Sam had a mild stroke, Dolores realized she didn't know how to access the family accounts or where the health insurance papers were. It frightened her. But with some encouragement from their daughter, they sat down together to make a list of accounts and important contacts and talked openly about their wishes if either of them needed extra care. But it wasn't easy at first. There were tears, awkward pauses, and a few laughs about getting old, but the relief afterward was immense. But Dolores said, "It's like we cleared a storm that had been brewing for years. Now I can focus on enjoying our time together, instead of worrying about the what-ifs." But these conversations aren't about giving up hope or expecting the worst. They're about making sure your wishes are honored and your family is spared confusion or hardship during stressful times. But if you're not sure where to begin, start small. Put all your important documents in one place. Make a list of what you have, and let someone you trust know where to find it. Reach out to a legal or financial professional if you need help. Many communities offer free workshops for seniors on estate planning and financial management. You've spent a lifetime making wise decisions, supporting your family, and building a legacy. But now, you deserve to enjoy peace of mind, knowing your affairs are in order, and your voice will be heard no matter what. But think of these conversations not as a burden, but as a gift, a way to care for your loved ones long into the future. So, if you've been putting off that talk, let today be the day you take the first small step. Write a note, make a call, and gather your papers. But remember, facing these conversations with honesty and courage is an act of strength and love, not weakness. But you have the power to bring clarity, comfort, and lasting peace to yourself and those you cherish most. The future doesn't have to be uncertain or scary, but with a few honest conversations and a little bit of planning, you can lift a great weight off your shoulders and give your family the priceless gift of clarity. But you're never too old, and it's never too late to take care of what matters most. But the fifth habit is eating the same old processed foods. But maybe it started with convenience, or maybe it was comfort. Those familiar boxes in the pantry, the frozen dinners you can pop in the microwave, but the deli meats and cheese slices that make for a quick sandwich. But after a certain age, many of us find ourselves reaching for the same old foods we've eaten for years. But it's easy, it's predictable, and in a world that sometimes feels uncertain, it's a little taste of home. But you walk into your kitchen, pull out that favorite box of crackers, heat your can of soup, and tell yourself, "I've eaten this all my life, and I'm just fine." But what if those easy habits, those processed foods that promise to save us time, are quietly stealing our health, one bite at a time? But if the choices that feel safest and most familiar are the very things holding us back from feeling truly vibrant, energetic, and alive? But it's a common belief that what we eat after 70 doesn't matter as much, especially if we've always eaten this way. Maybe you've heard friends say, "At my age, I should eat what I want," or even thought about it yourself. But science tells a different story. The truth is, our bodies change with time. As we get older, our metabolism slows down, our muscles naturally shrink, and our organs, especially the heart, kidneys, and liver, work a little harder to keep up. But processed foods packed with extra salt, sugar, unhealthy fats, and additives can strain these organs even more. Let's look at why this matters. But most processed foods are designed to taste good and last a long time on the shelf. But they're often stripped of real nutrition. But many have high levels of sodium, which raises blood pressure and can make heart problems worse. But added sugars can quietly push up blood sugar levels, increasing the risk of type 2 diabetes and making it harder to manage energy throughout the day. But the hidden fats in packaged snacks, pastries, and ready-made meals can clog arteries and make joints ache. But even more, processed foods can lack fiber, which is crucial for digestion, leaving you feeling sluggish, bloated, or constipated. You might be thinking, but I feel okay, I've always eaten this way. But yet, many seniors live with low energy, foggy thinking, swelling in the feet or hands, or stubborn weight that just won't budge, never realizing their diet might be part of the problem. But research shows that older adults who shift away from processed foods even a little see improvements in energy, mood, sleep, and mobility. Real food, the kind that's fresh, colorful, and close to its natural state, does wonders for the body at any age. So, what can you do? But you don't have to throw out your whole pantry or stop eating your favorite comfort foods overnight. Start by adding, not subtracting, the next time you're making a sandwich. Try swapping out the white bread for whole grain if you're having soup. Add a handful of fresh spinach or frozen peas. But keep apples, bananas, or small bags of baby carrots in the fridge for an easy snack. But instead of crackers, reach for a handful of unsalted nuts when shopping. Try picking up one new vegetable or fruit each week. But these little changes add up, and soon your taste buds will start craving the freshness and natural sweetness of real food. Cooking doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. But simple meals like scrambled eggs with tomatoes and spinach, baked chicken with roasted sweet potatoes, or oatmeal with berries and walnuts can be ready in minutes. But if you're not used to cooking, start small. Even microwaving a sweet potato or steaming some green beans is a powerful step toward better health. And if you have grandkids or neighbors who love to cook, invite them over for a meal. Sharing food is one of life's greatest joys. But let me tell you about Earl, an 82-year-old former factory worker from Michigan. But Earl always said he didn't trust food you couldn't pronounce. But as he got older, the convenience of packaged meals took over his kitchen. But he felt tired all the time and chalked it up to aging. One day, his daughter visited and noticed his pantry was mostly boxes and cans. But she gently suggested they cook dinner together, a simple stir-fry with chicken, broccoli, and carrots over brown rice. But Earl was surprised at how flavorful and satisfying it was. Over the next few weeks, he began adding more fresh foods and noticed he wasn't as tired in the afternoons. But he lost a few stubborn pounds, and his doctor even lowered his blood pressure medicine. But Earl's story isn't about a dramatic overhaul, but about small, doable changes that made a big difference. If you're nervous about changing your eating habits, remember that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Every small swap is a victory. You've spent your whole life caring for others and overcoming challenges. But you have what it takes to nourish your body now. Real food gives you the strength to keep doing the things you love: gardening, traveling, playing with grandchildren, or simply enjoying a sunny afternoon in the yard. So the next time you reach for that box of cookies or heat a frozen meal, ask yourself, what's one small fresh thing I can add to this? Your body will thank you with more energy, clearer thinking, and a renewed zest for life. You deserve to feel good in every season. It's never too late to make changes that matter, but don't let old habits hold you back from a brighter, more flavorful chapter of life. Each healthy choice is a gift to yourself. A reminder that you are worth the best care right now. Today, let food become your ally, your medicine, and your celebration. But you're never too old to feel better, stronger and more alive with every bite. But the sixth habit is keeping pain or symptoms to yourself. But there's a quiet strength many seniors carry, a resilience built from years of facing life's ups and downs. But sometimes that strength turns into silence. But maybe you felt a nagging ache in your back or sharp discomfort in your knees. Yet you've chosen to keep it to yourself. Perhaps you tell yourself, it's just a little pain, or I don't want to bother anyone. But you go about your day with a smile, hiding what's going on inside, because you don't want to seem weak or complain. But it's a familiar story for so many people over 70 who believe that pain is just part of getting older, and that sharing it won't change anything. But here's a question that might challenge what you've always thought. What if keeping your pain a secret is making things worse? What if by not speaking up, you're missing the chance to get help, relief, and a better quality of life? But it's easy to assume that aches and discomfort are inevitable and must be endured quietly, yet science and experience tell a different truth. But pain is your body's way of communicating, and when ignored, it can lead to deeper problems. Both physical and emotional. Understanding why many seniors keep symptoms to themselves is important. But sometimes it's about pride, a desire to remain independent without burdening family or friends. But other times it's fear, the fear of discovering something serious or the fear of hospitals and medications. There's also a cultural thread where toughing it out is seen as the honorable choice. However, research from medical professionals highlights that unreported pain can reduce mobility, worsen chronic conditions, and increase risks of depression and social isolation. But moreover, untreated symptoms may lead to complications that require more invasive treatments later. So, what can you do instead? But first, acknowledge that your pain or symptoms are valid. No matter how small they seem, it's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. It's a sign of wisdom and self-respect. But begin by keeping a simple symptom journal. Note when the pain occurs, what it feels like, how intense it is, and what activities make it better or worse. But this record will help your doctor understand your experience and tailor treatments just for you. When you feel ready, share your concerns with someone you trust, be it a family member, a friend, or your healthcare provider. Opening up can be daunting, but it's a vital step toward relief. If you worry about being dismissed, remember that you know your body best and you deserve to be heard. But many seniors find that once they take this step, they experience not only physical improvements, but also emotional relief from the burden of silence. I want to share the story of Grace, a 77-year-old retired librarian from Oregon. But for months, she suffered from persistent shoulder pain, but didn't mention it to anyone, thinking it was just part of getting old. But she stopped gardening and playing with her grandchildren because it hurt too much. One day, her daughter noticed her reluctance to lift things and gently asked about it. But Grace hesitated but finally confided in her doctor. But after a simple physical therapy program and a few lifestyle adjustments, her pain diminished significantly, and she was back tending her garden within weeks. Grace said, "I wish I'd spoken up sooner, but pain doesn't have to control your life." But if you're not sure how to start the conversation, try practicing what you want to say, or bringing your symptom journal to your appointment. But be honest about how the pain affects your daily life, including sleep, mood, and activities. Remember, treatments today are far more advanced and tailored than ever before. But there are options beyond medication like physical therapy, gentle exercise, mindfulness techniques, and dietary changes. Above all, don't let fear or pride keep you silent. But your comfort, dignity, and joy matter deeply. You deserve to live with as little pain as possible, and to embrace each day with energy and hope. But speaking up is the first step to reclaiming your well-being. So, if you've been carrying pain or symptoms alone, know this: your voice is powerful, your experience matters, and help is available. You don't have to suffer in silence. But reach out, share your story, and take the steps toward a brighter, freer tomorrow. You have given so much to others now. It's time to care for yourself with the same kindness and courage. But if you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The pain may be part of life, but it doesn't have to define yours. Let today be the day you break the silence and begin the journey toward healing. You are worthy of comfort, relief, and peace, and the world is ready to listen. The 7th habit is saying, it's too late to try something new. But sometimes the hardest thing about getting older isn't the aches or the slow mornings. It's the quiet voice inside your head telling you, it's too late for me. And maybe you've dreamed of painting, learning to dance, writing a book, or traveling to places you've only seen in pictures. But somewhere along the way, that voice whispers doubts. But I'm too old now, or what's the point? It's a feeling many seniors know all too well, a hesitancy that keeps you standing still when your heart wants to move forward. But here's a thought that might surprise you. It's never too late, not for learning, not for joy, and not for living fully. That voice telling you it's too late, it's just fear dressed up as a fact. The truth is, age is not a wall, it's a doorway, and every day holds the possibility for new beginnings. No matter how many birthdays you've celebrated for decades, society has painted a narrow picture of what life after 70 should look like. Quiet days, familiar routines, and no big changes. But science and stories from around the world reveal a far richer truth. The brain remains remarkably plastic, capable of learning, growing, and adapting throughout life. New hobbies, social connections, and challenges keep our minds sharp and our spirits bright. But trying something new can boost confidence, improve mood, and even enhance physical health. But think about how many older adults have taken up painting, joined dance classes, learned to play an instrument, or started writing memoirs. These activities don't just fill time, but they enrich the soul and remind us that life's best chapters can come later than we expect. It's not about mastering a skill overnight. It's about the joy of discovery, the thrill of a fresh challenge, and the pride of saying, I did that. So, how do you move past the too late mindset? Start by letting go of perfection and focusing on curiosity instead. But pick one thing that sparks your interest, something you've always wanted to try, or something completely new. It might be as simple as joining a local art class, attending a beginner's dance night, or even exploring online courses. But don't worry about your age or ability. The only thing that matters is that you show up and give it a try. Make a small plan, but set aside a few minutes a day or a couple of hours a week dedicated to this new pursuit. But invite a friend to join you or go solo, whatever feels best. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small. But maybe you paint a picture you're proud of, learn a new dance step, or write a paragraph in your journal. Each step forward is a victory. Let me tell you about Martha, a 76-year-old retired nurse from Colorado. For years, she kept telling herself it was too late to learn the guitar she'd always dreamed of playing. But then, at her granddaughter's urging, she signed up for a beginner's class at the local community center. The first week was challenging. Her fingers stumbled over the strings, and she thought about quitting. But she kept going week after week. But within months, Martha was playing simple songs, and the joy in her eyes was undeniable. She told me, I thought my best years were behind me, but learning guitar gave me new energy and a reason to smile every day. If you feel the hesitation creeping in, remember that everyone starts somewhere. Your journey might be different from others, but it's your own and it's precious. Trying something new isn't just about the activity, it's about reclaiming your power, expanding your world, and proving to yourself that you are capable of growth and happiness at any age. But you've lived through decades of change, faced challenges, and adapted more times than you can count. But now, permit yourself to embrace the unknown with open arms. The fear of too late is natural, but it doesn't have to control you. There's a whole world waiting to be explored. But the best time to start is always now. So, if you've been holding back because of that voice telling you it's too late, let this be your invitation to step forward. But try a new class, pick up a paintbrush, sign up for a dance lesson, or simply write down a new goal. Life is not a race with a finish line. It's a journey filled with endless possibilities. But you are never too old to chase a dream, learn something new, or add a fresh, bright chapter to your story. The world is waiting to see what you'll do next. Take that step. You'll be amazed at how far it can take you. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want you to remember one simple truth. Age is not a limit, it's a milestone. But every challenge you face, every habit you choose to change, and every new step you take is a testament to your strength, your wisdom, and your incredible spirit. The 7 things we talked about today, whether it's ignoring fatigue, isolating yourself, skipping strength exercises, avoiding important conversations, sticking to old eating habits, but keeping pain to yourself, or telling yourself it's too late to try something new, but aren't barriers set in stone. They are invitations to listen, to act, and to reclaim your best life. You've lived a lifetime filled with stories, love, and lessons. Now is the time to prioritize your health, your happiness, and your connection with others. Small changes can create big ripples, but a simple walk, a phone call to a friend, sharing your thoughts openly, or trying that new hobby. But you have the power to make each day better than the last. Remember, you're not alone on this path, but millions of seniors are walking with you, learning, growing, improving every day. That life after 70 can be vibrant, joyful, and full of purpose. But your journey is unique, but your potential is limitless. So, I encourage you, take one small step today. Reach out, move gently, speak up, and believe in the possibility of change. But you deserve to feel energized, connected, and alive. Thank you for sharing your time with me. If this video spoke to you, please like, share, and subscribe, because your story matters, and someone you love might just need to hear these words. 2. Here's to your health, your happiness, and the beautiful chapters still ahead. Keep shining, keep moving, and never forget you are worth every moment.